Right, so welcome to another edition of My First White Dwarf, and I've got Ben from Sydney, Australia. Is that right, Ben?
Yep, that's correct.
And how you going today, mate?
Pretty good. Glad my unofficial weekend has started.
Very good. That's right, yeah, because you get your Mondays off like me, eh?
Yeah.
So nice one. All right, so Ben, I've asked you along to talk about your first White Dwarf, which is 179. Can I ask exactly where you saw this and where you picked it up?
I would have bought this in my local post office in my suburb.
Post office.
Yeah, it's basically like a news agency slash post office.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And was it retailing for $5.95 back in those
It
days?
was, yeah, about $6, which was not a bad price for a magazine at that time.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, obviously, this is the Australian version. I think the guy who runs the White Dwarf Through the Ages on Facebook group, where I'm accessing this file and all the PDFs. So if you want to access all the White Dwarfs that have ever been issued, go to White Dwarf Through the Ages. I'll put a link in the show notes, and you can go there on Facebook and download your copy to preview yourself. So it's a really great resource, and I believe I think Scott McKinnon's the guy who runs that group. I think he must be an Australian because all the issues that I've seen scans for are all Australian issues. Well, since the time when the Australian issues were available. But you've got a very evocative image here of an Imperator Titan from, of course, Titan Legions, which from Jeff Taylor, which would have been the release around this time. What year is this, mate?
Around 1994. I was pretty young. I started playing and collecting around like 13, 14 years of age. And it's all the fault of my friends who hooked me into it. It didn't take much. I picked up one of the books, I think it was Codex Imperialis, at a friend's house, had a flick through it, saw models like the Kharnifex, the old second ed Screamer Killer, and the Eldar character Karandris, and it was a really strange, nostalgic feeling of like a whole new universe opening up. It was I can't even describe the feeling. It was really strange.
Cool. All right. So, did you actually get to play Epic at all?
No, I didn't play these what I would consider proper Epic games. I ended up playing Epic 40,000 many years later. But at a games club I went to, they had all of the Titan Legions terrain as well as some stuff someone had handmade. And there was a few armies sitting around in boxes there.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I loved reading the battle reports though.
Yeah. Titan Legions was, of course, Epic Space Marine sort of version 1.5. It's sort of the next step up. And that's the edition we're playing at the moment here in Japan. So yeah, it's a really cool edition. It's basically just Epic Space Marine, just with a few tweaks here and there, and adding, of course, the massive Imperator Titan and the Mega Gargants for the Orcs, and Titan Legions, as the box on the cover states and says. You can actually form entire armies of Titans, like knights and that kind of thing. All right, so in the inside cover of that, we've got the Chaos All-Stars, Gary Morley designed Chaos team for Blood Bowl. Any love for Blood Bowl, mate? Third edition?
I never played it. Everyone around me played it, which is crazy. These models especially are fantastic. I love Beastmen, and the Gary Morley ones had so much character. Constant campaigns at the Games Club. The only sort of way I played Blood Bowl was a few trial matches and actually the later PC games that came out.
Right, okay. Wow, all right. So yeah, you should definitely try third edition if you've never played it before. It's one of the classic editions, I think, anyway, with Deso and all that kind of thing. Right, but yeah, really nice models. I really like the paint jobs. I like this green and red color scheme. It was quite cool. Okay, so inside we've got the contents of our issue here. So we've got some rules of engagement. Jervis Johnson talking about 140k. Heavy metal sections, of course, with the Eldar Shuriken Shrieker jet bike. I think would have got a release at this time. But in terms of like content, it's fairly light compared to other issues.
Yep.
Maybe it's been taken up by a lot of heavy metal pages, I think, at this stage, by the looks of things.
And a bit of advertising.
Yeah, a lot of advertising too, yeah. There's some gift out, some nice monopose plastic Chaos Warriors.
Yeah, I think one of those came in like a tiny little painting kit. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, you're
I
right.
remember getting one.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I love those little boxes.
So it's still got pounds listed here.
It does, yeah.
Shrieker Jet Bike, £5.99, and the Gretchen Assistance for £4.50 for 4 models.
I guess much later, they had a lot more sort of Australian content. Once they must have made a studio or something like that here.
They did, because it was Dave
Taylor.
Dave Taylor, thank you. Dave Taylor
Yeah.
sort of headed that Australian editorial group in Australia. And then later, maybe the next year later or something, they had all the Australian stores listed and all the Aussie prices and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So here we've got assistant games developers. So they're looking to apply to become the next big thing at Games Workshop, big name, and face on the inside covers or what have you, and doing the battle reports, so you can see
some important faces there that we recognise. I think it's Ian Pickstock.
Ian Pickstock, Gavin Thorpe, and another person I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know that the left ponytail.
He's maybe the guy who left, and they're looking for a replacement, perhaps. We've got the Titan Legends paint set and the Shading Washers paint sets, which are pretty cool. Loved those paint sets back in the day.
Yep, still got pretty much all the originals that I would have bought in 93, 94.
Nice. I think they're still the best paints ever made.
Still work.
I don't think they're nostalgia. That's not nostalgia speaking. I mean, I've got paints here which are like the earlier edition, like not the hex pots, but the sort of the round pots.
Yep.
And they're still fresh as new. So they've lasted 30 summers and they're still going. So yeah, perfect paint.
Not bad for basically like plastic suspended in a liquid.
Yeah, and there's nothing's broken down, like the pigment hasn't broken down. It hasn't separated, so you shake it up, you still got good coverage and everything. So yeah, they're still the best paints ever made, I reckon.
Yep.
So now you've got free Chaos Space Marine and White Dwarf. On the front of the next issue of White Dwarf, you're once again giving away a superb plastic Citadel miniature for Warhammer 40k. Don't miss it. And that was the Khorne Berserker plastic.
It was. And those models were great, even though they were monopose. They had a fantastic backpack. It's very exciting.
It's got a bit of a grand opening here. I think we can sort of just quietly skim past those, but bought those a few times. It's in Edinburgh, so nothing related to us, unfortunately. All right, so rules of engagement, Jerva Johnson. So he's talking about deadly weapons in the world of Warhammer 40k.
It's a pretty funny article, actually, especially the last bit of it. But the Razorback, a notorious vehicle that my friend that played Space Wolves used to deadly.
Razorback, yeah, because it had all the top turret was all metal, wasn't it? So it had the plastic chassis, Rhino chassis, and all the top was metal. And
they were the coolest weapons too: the las cannon and the plasma gun. 2 plasma guns.
I think someone was selling that on the Australian Allhammer trading group, and it's still in the box.
Damn.
Yeah. So
such a classic.
The Flamer.
Man, hand flamers, heavy flamers, so good in second ed, especially when they made things like Eldar aspect warriors catch on fire or Exarchs.
Yeah, well, if you can get that close.
Yeah.
Close without dying. So one extremely tough Space Marine, that's for sure. He survived, about 16 autocannon shots and another 3 bolt pistol shots, and grenades, whatever. So, yeah.
Don't be fooled by the low ballistic skill of Orcs and Gretchen.
Yeah, mate.
It's just to trick you.
If they're rolling 16 dice at you, they're going to hit something, that's for sure. Now this is the I've been calling it I think I've been calling it a shuriken jet bike, but it's called a shrieker jet bike. I should really read. It could be good.
Yeah, I don't have that page.
Oh, you don't have that page in your book?
Oh, it's been torn out.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I'm wondering what's on the other side of that. Those jet bikes are really cool.
That's why these PDFs are invaluable now, aren't they? You can double check your issues and see what's missing. So he's been scamming you basically. So you got the Gretchen assistants on their side. So they were the two releases.
Look, those metal, all the metal Gretchen are so hard to come by. Not just the crews or the assistants, but even just the Goth ones that had like a gun or close combat weapons.
Oh, yeah, those ones. Yeah, I know those.
Yeah, they're fantastic. And in the Orc Codex, you can give the assistants to characters, which is really funny. But I took your advice on a previous podcast and got some Nightmare miniatures Gretchen, and I got 2 sets and they're fantastic.
Good on you, mate. Yeah, because they're excellent. That was the next suggestion I was going to make. I think, personally, I think they're better than the ones here.
Yes, especially the one wearing a cooking pot on his head. Fantastic.
Yes. Awesome, isn't it? And the Al Capone guy.
Oh, yeah.
With his trench coat and everything. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. I got to put them on the battlefield again yesterday. It was good fun. Yes. They died to a man, but or a Gretchen. They did really well. So here we go. We've got some rules advices about different elements of 40k, whether they be, looks like these some speed freak kind of detachments here with some bikes and Scorcher.
Some fantastic looking models.
Yeah. And some war machines as well, or support weapons, you call them in 40k, of course.
Yep.
Wolfguard Terminators fire all of their weapons on the Gretchen. Well, there will be nothing left after an assault cannon, heavy flamer, and 2 storm bolters rain death on those guys.
Yeah, 4 buggers.
Yep. But yeah, I think these are the guys you're talking about. I think these are all the metal ones
That's the ones. Yep.
Yeah. I suppose it's like it's like goblins in fantasy, metal goblins. They're very hard to find because people just chose the plastics as alternatives because the metal ones are so expensive, and because they're all plastic alternatives, they just went for the plastics and just overlooked the metal ones and maybe just got the command groups, and that was it. So I think for the Gretchen, it was the same. People had the 40k box set. They had all the Gretchen they'll probably ever need, and never bought the metal ones. So
that's a really good point.
Circulation of them is just really low. So
I think Marcel said the goblins with spears were metal.
Yes, you can get the goblins with spears and metal, and you can get all different variants of hand weapons, which are the coolest because they're so small and so cute. But yeah, they're very, very difficult to come by.
Damn.
I've got Leman Russ. We've got some Commando Orcs here as well against some Arbite.
Oh man, Arbites were some of the coolest models, like, yeah, sure, heavy metal Judge Dredd style, but they had shotguns which pushed people back, which were hilarious. And all commandos are pretty sweet too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm guessing with the modern Leman Russ, you don't have to put those tracks together almost piece by piece as well.
That's right. They kept, I never constructed one of those tanks, but they did come in like several pieces, didn't they, the tracks?
Yeah, so you'd had like a couple of long bits, some medium bits, and some singles, and trying to get it perfect was maddening.
I bet. Jump packs and Eldar Swooping Hawk wings. That's sort of nice.
Yeah, man, Swooping Hawks were such a pain to fight against.
Because they could drop bombs on you, couldn't they?
Yeah, it was just like seagulls going over and
yeah. And shining on you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay once you could shoot them or engage them. Then you could probably, if you're lucky, make light work of them. But gee, they were a pain. And I finally got one of those Orc Dreadnoughts.
Oh, good on you, mate. A nice one.
Yeah. Replace the cardboard.
Yeah, is this the polymorphine? Is this the one you're talking about, the polymorphine?
Yeah, there's some really funny stuff in this article where it talks about there was an error with the Sniffer Squig card where it said it had the difference between Camellia Line and polymorphine. Big correction there.
Yep.
And then the hilarious thing about how if you're wearing polymorphine, you can't be riding a Land Raider, etc. It's just yourself appearing.
Yeah, I can see a lot of "don't be a dick" moments here from the Fury.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like the article states in conclusion, some people would try and pull that sort of stuff, but
Yeah.
generally you'd start avoiding them in gaming circles if they were that cheesy.
Hopefully, most players would not dream of trying anything so silly, but we have heard of some players that will try such tricks simply because the rules don't specifically say that they can't. So yeah, that was always going to be an exploit, wasn't it? But this is the pitch I was talking about to Paul yesterday. I love that Jez Goodwin artwork of this assassin, Imperial assassin.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
In the Warhammer Second Ed box set, you got what we used to refer to as the Black Codex, which was just a very, very thin little codex full of black and white images and army rules. And the Imperial agents had the coolest stuff. You had the assassins, you had things like electro priests that I don't think got rules and models for another, I don't know, over 20 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. And as a Tyranid player, I had to suffer with the rules list in there until my codex came out much later, and I'd be suffering at the hands of Space Wolves and Eldar until then.
Was it the last codex, Tyranids?
Second last, maybe, or like I think
Chaos.
Chaos and Sisters were kind of last-ish.
Right.
Yeah, and the Chaos Codex was just absolutely magnificent and completely overpowered.
It's a massive codex too. Yeah, it's huge.
It's got this 2-page spread in it, which I used to just look at for hours.
Okay, so this is the roadshow for Titanicus. So people go to their stores and play the game at these places here in the UK. So we'll just go over that. Again, there's another store advertisement here. Manchester Store Battle Days. If you did attend these days, please let us know in the comments. It'd be interesting to know your stories about those times. Made some great opening. Okay, then we come to the modelling workshop with ruined buildings with Simon Tiff.
And we all tried to do this. We were using, because we couldn't find things like DAS modelling clay, we were using all kinds of weird putties and stuff. And some of the terrain turned out good. Some of it turned out really gross and lumpy. Cat litter was the thing we used, mate. Cat litter back in those days. Remember that?
Look,
yeah, and I saw all sorts of like modeling disasters, and we were 13, 14, 15 at the time making this stuff, and we didn't realize that if you got polystyrene and then hit it with a rattle can, that the propellant would melt it. Or if you painted it with a certain type of paint, that it would start to shrink and melt. It's good fun. But these guides are actually really, really useful. And because we had no idea how some of this stuff was made. We were going into it blind.
Yeah, now the modelling workshops in the White Dwarfs are excellent. It just gave a big insight as to how to build things without making loads of mistakes and chopping your fingers off at the same time, as they always emphasize, to cut away from you at all times, which is the best rule.
And there was more details in it than the painting guides at the time too.
Yeah, actually, you're right. There were more details in these articles than the actual terrain books they brought out, because they had to cover multiple bits of terrain. These had more detail on specific areas of terrain. So you had stuff of fantasy, 40k, epic, I think in some cases, but the sort of core essential terrain pieces you needed. Epic was pretty easy because it's all very small scale. You could knock a few buildings out and ruin terrain in no time. But the 40k ones and fantasy ones were a lot bigger of an endeavor and took a lot more time, skill.
A lot of chopping up sort of pressed polystyrene packing, and then carving out sort of walkways, and then using pins and cardboard to make sort of steel plates and then dry brushing them and all kinds of madness, using bits of wire to make handrails. Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, no, I say, mate. Yeah, it's good. I still love it too, like coming back to making terrain.
Kept us busy.
Yeah, it's no better feeling than having produced your own stuff.
Yeah, these days the kids just buy a box set and it's all in there for them.
They don't know what they're missing out on.
Yeah.
Apart from a few missing fingers. But
super glue always healed all wounds.
Yeah, I certainly cut myself a few times, mate, that's for sure. But then the scars, you can always look back and say, oh, well, I got that from having made my 40k Imperial building or whatever.
Yep, or trying to pin the Second Ed Bloodthirster, the newer one that came out with the flat face.
Oh god, if I could get $100 bill for every time I've stabbed myself with my pin vice, I'd be, I could afford to buy a Titan Legion sealed box set by now. That's for sure on eBay.
Yeah, definitely.
But these are the Bloodletters and Demon Slanesh. This, I didn't think it was that new, but I suppose at 94, I suppose it's the time around the Codex of Fantasy Chaos has just been released. So
I had these guys.
Yeah,
I did have this range of demons. I had the Corn guys and the Plague Bearers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the Demonettes because I didn't play Slanesh. My friend did. Once the Chaos Codex came out and you could do things like get summoning points and summon the guys in, the Bloodletters and the Noble ones were very sort of easy to get onto the table. They were good fun miniatures too, like fairly easy to paint.
Of course, in 40k they summoned the demons, didn't they?
Yeah.
Fantasy, you just paid for them and they just were on the table. They're just like as a unit. But yeah, I remember 40k, and I don't actually have any demons to summon. But yeah, I just remember that you have like an icon and having caused so many wounds, you get a roll to make, and you can bring on your greater demon or your lesser demons and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was good fun. And then there was a few psychic cards where you had to have some demon models to put down on the table if you caused wounds, like Horrors of Tzeentch, for example. So you needed to buy a handful if you're a Chaos player, at least, for some spells.
Yeah. Then we come to Talisman City of Adventure.
I did get to play Talisman. I don't think we played City of Adventure. We played one that had a dragon in it.
Oh, wow, okay. That was the final expansion, wasn't it?
Yeah. That someone had that at the club. But I pretty much Warhammer Quest kind of killed this. I never saw it again once Warhammer Quest came out, which is sad.
Yeah, it's basically like second edition Talisman, but with miniatures. Plastic miniatures that came with the set. But I don't think this set actually had any plastic minis. I think it just... Oh, no, it did. But it just introduced a couple of new characters, which is the Ogre and the Dark Elf.
The Chaos Dwarf.
Yeah, and they just introduced... You had to buy the models, of course, from the store and include them in your games.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was nice to have some plastic models for Talisman. Otherwise, you just got card stand-ins for like the second edition. But
yeah, most of us had at least a copy of Heroes Quest or Space Crusade. So getting sucked into the bigger games was fairly easy. I think that they're pretty successful in being both a board game and a gateway drug. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, Leman Russ Battle Tank.
I had quite a few. Something bad happened at mail order in Australia, and they did a big vehicle, like cheap vehicle discount. All the boxes got crushed, so I think probably one of the mail order trolls, like Taro Kenko, fell on a pallet and crushed it. So I ended up with a lot of tanks for very cheap. They were almost half price, I think. And we ended up doing a huge tank battle, and the Leman Russ were pretty cool. And once you have a big tank battle in second ed, it does take a while, because one successful penetrating shot can cause a huge domino effect, like one turret ripping off, flying, hit another vehicle, and then literally all the other tanks around it blowing up and doing random hilarious things. And this model, like I said before, the track was a bit of a pain to put together, but so many different armies could use the one vehicle. Gene Stealer, Cold Orcs, Imperials, etc. It was really good. Yeah, chuck a flamer on there so that you're not missing all the time with the las cannon.
Yeah. Okay, we've got now Epic Titan Legions. It goes through the. Looks like it's just been released. So the look at what you get in the box basically in this section here, and some of the forces, the Imperial, all the tanks, that kind of thing. I think people are very familiar with. Had a lot of coloured plates in here and all the photographs of all the different types of Titans that you can bring for all the different factions and other vehicles.
Yeah, there was a few things in here that really needed to be changed. Like I don't think it's pictured here, but the Thunderhawk gunship looked like a shoebox.
I love that model. I love it.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't like it, but I love that style of Thunderhawk gunship myself.
And is
cool,
it
range. Yeah,
Vindicator tank that it's just a rhino with a giant loo roll on the front. Yeah,
awesome.
Yep.
Or the whirlwinds were basically just a box and another box on top.
that I don't mind.
It was like the most simplest design, but I still really like those old models. But it's just.
Did they have rules at this stage for things like the Ordinatus Mars vehicles?
In Titan Legends, they did bring those out in White Dwarves, mate. So yeah, you did have those. A lot of stuff, came out with White Dwarves later on.
Yeah, they were crazy.
But they did cover those. Okay, so Adrian will go through his Speed Freaks.
Yep.
I think Adrian's a pretty famous Orc player in many a system.
We used to get frustrated because he'd lose a lot.
Yeah, that's the way of the Orc.
Yeah, I know.
Have fun, have a laugh, and then
lose
at the end. But then still laugh about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian.
Because you can always fight again another day.
With some good tactics in there for your Speed Freak armies.
Yep.
Now we're going to Inferno. This is the Titan Legions battle report between Andy Chambers and Jervis Johnson. And they
love those.
Yeah, they were the rivals basically in the studio, always battling it out on the tabletop.
Yeah, I had to be Team Andy because he was definitely involved in all the stuff I loved.
Well, he played all the Orcs, didn't he? Did he play all the Orcs? Yeah,
I think he had his hand in the Tyrannid Codex and Chaos Codex. So.
Yeah, I think Andy always played Orcs. I don't think he ever played anything else.
Yeah.
Apart from when Tyranids were released, and I think he played those because I think he wrote that supplement.
Love the plastic Land Raiders as well. They were really good.
Yeah, they're excellent. So yeah, that's quite a huge force. And one thing I didn't realize is that Mega Gargants were actual clan cards. I didn't realize that until just recently. So that's great. They're not a special card; they're a clan card.
Gotcha.
So that's really cool. I like that versatility there. So I placed an order for one of those. Dave, my good mate Dave, in the UK, is going to send me over one of those. So I'll finally have a Gargant to match, Mega Gargant to match, or face off against an Imperial Titan in the future. Which would be quite.
Do they go for a pretty penny these days?
Well, actually, my deal was pretty good. Like Dave's really looked after me with pricing and that kind of stuff. I mean, if you go on eBay, you get
a shock,
crazy prices. Yeah, especially for the Imperial Titans. They're just nuts now. So
yeah, I've only ever seen one in real life.
Oh, Imperial Titan, yeah?
Yeah, yep. At a store on a shelf. That's it.
Right, okay, mate. Well, yeah.
Seen the Gargants. A few people I know have the Gargants, but yeah, those Imperial Titan, that was pretty crazy.
At least they were released inside an actual box set, because that way there's going to be quite a few of those around now. But pricing for those old models now, those kits are quite high. But I don't know, you can get reasonable deals on in trade groups on Facebook and that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah.
Some people are just willing to offload to people who are going to use them and play them, rather than
Oh yeah, I definitely would rather see them on a YouTube video than.
Yeah, for sure, mate. For sure. So, anyhow, we're not going to go through the battle report. We're just going to skim through the pages here, and you can read it at your desired time and
Yeah,
check
it's
out.
quite a long one, actually.
Yeah. Well, they're big games, mate. I think this is a massive game. If you've got an Imperial Titan and 2 Mega Gargants, I forget exactly how many points it was. I'm thinking it was 6,000 points, which is a big game.
Massive.
But yeah, I love all this terrain, and I didn't really realize all this terrain was made until recently. I just forgot about it. But yeah, having looked back at some of these earlier issues, they expanded the Orc terrain a lot for Epic and made these massive, kind of almost like cities, like these large settlements, and built up on all these big hills and stuff. Look great. So,
love the old Orc Adobe style stuff.
And look at this, and I love that piece of terrain for the Imperials as well.
Yep.
It's like a administorum building, or how do you want to call it? Some kind of administrative kind of building. Amazing details and stuff in there. I'm sure there's parts of the Imperial Titan in that thing. It looks like those castle tops on the parapet of that Imperator. They've used some on the terrain itself. I could be wrong.
And plastic guardsmen statues, basically.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Anyhow, here we got Prince Imric.
I had the plastic wings. I didn't have the. Yep.
These came in metal wings though. This one came in metal wings.
Oh, I had like plastic version of these wings. I'm not sure what kit they were from though.
Oh right, they must have changed it then. Okay.
Oh, who knows? It could have been from something like a Wyvern or another generic dragon later on.
Yeah, it could be. Could be, mate.
I'm glad I never had to try and put that together.
So it's a pretty brief issue, really, because now we're already in the Malva section, as we're very familiar with, and it's going to go through some more pricing in pounds. So, yeah, it's quite a short issue, I think, in comparison to a lot of other issues.
I used to love going through these catalogs, and you can find all this stuff online now, which is great.
The Titans, I love that Reaver Titan. Absolutely love it.
Oh, yeah.
Classic. There's all your... Oh, actually, these are sort of the updated ones. Now, when Titan Legends came out, some of the vehicles were updated, so the Whirlwind didn't have the shoe box on the back of it anymore.
It's more like the seconded one.
Yeah, they started getting the second-ed designs in Epic as well. But the Orcs mainly stayed the same, which are great, because why would you want to change them? They look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they were really fun. The speedsters were excellent. Yeah,
they're brilliant, mate. They're brilliant in the game too. Really, really cool.
Ah, man, the Battle Fortresses are fun.
Mechboy Gargants. Great
yep.
Stuff. The Phantom Warlock Titans. Really good stuff. So if you liked Epic, this is the issue for you. Oh, this is where I'm at the moment. Chaos.
Great. Yeah, it's great.
Angron. That's next on the shopping list. Angron. I need my Angron back. The world.
Nice.
Squats, of course. Love my squats.
Yep. Very fleshed out in Epic squats.
They were. Yep. More so than any other publication or game system. Blood Bowl star players.
Yep, the best ones being down the bottom.
Yeah, I'm just not going to do it. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, we're looking at the Goblin star players now, mate. So they're your favourites,
yep.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, look, so much character, ridiculous. And I think someone told me they were permitted in tournaments, whereas usually star players weren't. Other star players for other groups.
Oh right, okay. Well,
yeah, might have been a European league thing.
Maybe the Goblins just needed something extra.
Yeah,
to get. Like the Halflings really needed a Treeman. I think without a Treeman, Halflings are really struggling, and maybe the Goblins were the same.
Makes sense. I think there was rules for Snotling team as well. That sounded ridiculous.
Oh, that'd be cool. I love that.
But yeah, they added Lizardmen in later, and they seemed really, really ridiculous.
Because back in the 80s, GW had bases the size. I think they're about 10 or 12 mil in diameter, like tiny little round bases. I actually had a few of those. I don't know where it came from or why they made them, but I used to have my familiars, my little spell familiars for fantasy. on those tiny little bases. Just thinking now that, when you said the Snotling team, it would be really cool to have a whole team of Snotlings on those tiny little round bases. You could probably make them and print them out or something like that, but it would be really cool to see. Instead of just 20 mil bases, you could have them scaled a bit smaller.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've got the Galadriel Gladiators for the High Elves. It must be the new set coming out for Blood Bowl.
Yep.
And we've got our Gretchen. Now, these are the Gretchen with autocannons, the assistants, and pistols and swords. Yeah, these are great models. And like you say, I've never seen them, mate. I've never seen them.
I've got 4 of the bottom ones, the auto pistols and swords, because I bought them in a big army group. That's it.
Nice. So just one blister pack worth, basically.
Yeah, I think so. And if you were lucky back in the day, you'd look for the blister that had accidentally been packed with more than what it should have been.
Ah, right. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Sometimes you could get 5 or 6 fire dragons in a blister if you played Eldar, for example.
Right. Okay. Okay. Then we got the Shrieker jet pikes.
Pretty cool model
kit. Yeah. Do they still have this kit? Are they still using this kit now?
I think there's a more modern one. I think.
Right.
Don't quote me on that, but they were fantastic, and they were such a pain in my side until I got things like the 2nd edition Gargoyle to try and counter them, because the firepower they put out was ridiculous.
It's got a Shrieker cannon. I assume it's like a sustained fire weapon. I'm not sure.
It did something horrible. Like if one of you guys died, you had to take a leadership test.
Wow. Okay. Sounds horrible.
Yeah. Not such an issue if you're Tyranny.
This is the painting guide for Warhammer armies. What a cool looking cover that is.
Yeah.
Undead versus Orc and Goblins.
Yeah. Man, what a model.
Yeah.
And that cool old giant.
Yeah, the cool old giants there, the Marauder giant.
Yep.
Wow, he'd be worth a few dollars now.
And Marauder made some pretty cool monsters.
Yeah, they did, because I think all these are Ali Morrison, Colin Dixon.
Nice
designs. So yeah, really cool. Some Beastmen.
Love Beastmen. Just such a cool monster and model and pictures and the whole theme of them. In 40k, you could take them, especially in the Chaos Codex, and they had 2 wounds, so they were a massive damage soak. They were good.
Yeah, I think if I'm playing Chaos ever again in 40k, I'm going to do that Lost in the Damned list. I love that because I played it once back in the 90s doing that with all my fantasy collection when I came back from the UK, and I just love the idea of it. And, with Epic 40k, Epic Space Marine, I should say.
Yep.
That's how they played as well. They had Beastmen, they had
Trolls.
They had the whole everything in it, basically. So I really love that idea.
It's good fluff.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I think that's the way Chaos should be played. Oh, here we go. Games of Australia. So
yeah, the only ad.
Yeah.
So I got to go to a grand opening of the Miranda store. And they gave you coupons and things like that from White Dwarf. They just stamped them. You didn't have to cut them out. It's very exciting.
Cool, mate. Nice. And they had an Australian mail order.
Yep.
So I remember ordering stuff from the mail order in Games Workshop Sydney with a guy I used to work with. And this is going back some time now, maybe 93. And yeah, I don't know I can't remember what we ordered now, but we ordered some stuff in the mail order.
I ordered way too much stuff, obviously.
Yeah, I bet. Actually, I got an interview to work at mail order in Australia way back in this is about 92 maybe, in Brisbane. This is before I went to the UK. And I got interviewed to work there, but unfortunately I didn't get the job.
You probably weren't depressed enough.
Yeah. Too keen, too eager, mate.
Yeah.
We'll live too far away. And this is Fred Reed's Howling Griffins army.
Yeah. So this was absolutely epic to us at the time. It was shockingly good, so big, so colourful. Had the Land Raider, which we could not get. at all. I think the mold had broken at that point.
Oh, right.
There was only one Land Raider that we ever saw, and it was in this hobby store called Tin Soldier behind some glass.
Ah, Tin Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it was cool because later on, he actually played in the studio, I think.
Oh, right. So he actually took this army down to play in the studio at some point.
Yeah, it was, I'm definitely sure it was in a White Dwarf at some point.
Right.
But very cool, and so well painted. Such a good team.
Well, he must have loved this army because, you know, he's got so many models in this, so many Marines. I mean, that's an enormous amount of points if you would add all that up together.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of painting stamina. That's what I can say about Fred. If I had to paint that many models in that color scheme, I think after a squad, I'm like, I need to change this up and do something else because, you know, yellow and red is...
And he had the cool metal Terminators too.
Yeah, the cool old metal Terminators.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, you're right. Yellow and red, what a horrifying combination of paints to have to deal with, especially next to each other.
Yep. I was thinking the Terminators. I don't think did they actually have the modern Terminators at this point?
I don't think the plastic ones came out until Space Hulk, the second version of Space Hulk. And they were leaps and bounds.
That's right.
Yeah, in terms of posing and things like that. But yeah, you had to get metal blisters. If you were looking for things like Thunderhammers and Chain Fists, you had to inspect them all because sometimes what was written on the blister wasn't exactly what was in them. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking now maybe they were that was the only thing available. Those old classic Jez Goodwin Terminators. But before the new modern ones, I think Deathwing were the first ones that came out in the new style, the new design.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah. Oh no, actually no. Sorry, Space Wolf. The Space Wolf ones have been out, so they would have been out already. So he's just chosen, and alternatively, he can only choose these Terminators because there weren't any other generic Terminators available yet. Until
it would have been too difficult to modify the Space Wolf ones. They had like tails and stuff all over them. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Anyhow, Ben, it's been a great issue to cover with you, mate. I'm really appreciative of your time today.
Yeah, look, man, thanks for keeping up all the good work. We get to live vicariously through you, and then we're encouraged to actually paint things. So
good on you, mate. That's great. I'm really happy to hear that. That's very encouraging. So
cheers.
I think we're going to do some painting today, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm already doing some Marauders. Well, Renegades, I should say.
Renegades.
The old ones.
Very good, sir. Well, I'll join you with, we'll go on Discord or something, have a chat, but I'm going to do I'm working on some Chaos Epic at the moment. So more Renegades, so a much smaller scale.
Yeah, loving the updates so far.
See you online later, mate.
Will do. Cheers. Thanks for that.
Okay, no problem. Take care.
See you. Bye.